What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Brennan Mejia here, the Red Ranger from Power Rangers Dino Charge. Today's video, we're gonna do a recap, breakdown, walk down memory lane of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie that came out 30 years ago. Let's get into it. All right, so the Mighty Morphin movie from 1995, out of the 3 Power Ranger films that exist at the time of this recording, is definitely my favorite, by like far. It's not even close. I was the age where Power Rangers, like why 7? I wasn't even 7 yet, so I was almost 7, but I was in that age range where I was like watching it every day after school. It was the Mighty Morphin era, so it was by and large the most popular era ever to date yet. And you had a lot of the original cast still in the show with some fan favorites who were newer as well. Like, we had Rocky and Adam and different people as well. But the movie literally starts off with skydiving. I mean, that's pretty epic. I think this movie really stands the test of time because it didn't forget its audience. It's still a kid's movie to a degree, but the action and the threat that they went through with Ivan Ooze and the parents being brain controlled and how kids think it's cool, when they're younger, like, if I didn't have my parents, it'd be amazing because I could do what I want. And then they don't have their parents, or like, I want my parents, and their parents are gonna like get in trouble and, potentially like die and be destroyed. And then they all work together with Bulk and Skull to save them with like fire hoses and things. But I just feel that this movie, even just thinking about it, it's like, oh, that was a movie you want to see in theaters. That's a movie that whatever band of friends you had at the time, if you see it again with them, it just invokes like, this is what it meant to be a Power Ranger fan. This is what it means, teamwork and all the things. And, the good guys have that time where they lose their powers and they get Noon and Jetty powers and they get their Mighty Morphin powers again. And the suits are still similar, but different. That was one of my issues with the reboot of Mighty Morphin, the 15, 16? When did that movie come out? 17? 2017, thank you, Steven. I didn't care for the suits. And I know they were trying to make them new spacey, techie, whatever. And cool, if that's your vibe, but I don't know, Power Rangers has always pretty much been like spandex and or leather combo, plasticky pieces, not tech looking as much. And the movie did a really good job of taking the suits that we already loved from the series and then just kind of modernizing them and adding extra details to them and making them just a little bit better, but still recognizable. I made this comment before, but the 2017 movie, if you took someone and showed them those suits individually and you didn't tell them it was a Power Ranger movie, I don't think they could just know it was Power Rangers, But if you see the suits from the 1995 movie, that's Power Rangers if you've ever seen the show, because the suits scream Power Rangers, like literally the same-ish helmet designs and everything. And then it also had cool things. It kind of reminded me, do you remember the Nickelodeon show, was it Rocket League? Or not Rocket, that's a game, a video game. What's the Rocket? Rocket Power, Rocket Power! My brother was nationally ranked in Rocket League, hence why that came into my mind. And I was talking to someone about that the other day. I digress, but Rocket Power, it kind of feels like they had some live action Rocket Power, like the rollerblading, and again, I mentioned the skydiving, like, it was showing them as these athletes even when they're not morphed. These are the people who are Power Rangers, not just because of their moral code that they follow and they're always down to help people and put themselves in danger for, strangers or whatever, but they also were very athletic, even not morphed. They were martial artists and, well, most of them were. Billy wasn't, but that's okay. I just think they captured so much just of like what made me want to train myself, when people, so for those who don't know, I work as an actor still, obviously, but I'm also a stunt performer and stunt coordinator. And with stunts, a lot of people around my age, give or take within like 10 years younger and older, a lot of us were inspired by Power Rangers as well as anime, like Dragon Ball Z. Like those were the things that launched a lot of people into stunts. And so it's just funny because you'll see people training at the gyms and they're wearing Power Rangers shirts, or they're wearing Goku or Gohan or Vegeta or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there once every, I don't know, so often an IP comes along that is so prolific that it literally changes people's lives in the path that they walk and the amount it inspires them. And Mighty Morphin Power Rangers definitely did that for me. I know a lot of people did it for as well. Even if I didn't become a Power Ranger myself, I still got into stunts and all these things, and martial arts, and a lot of that was attributed to Power Rangers. So this movie though, the fact that it still stands the test of time, that people still have watch parties for it, that you see people still talking about it, like at Comic-Cons and things. It was just so iconic, you know, and like there's certain lines, you know, Johnny Young Bosch is Adam, you know, when he's talking, like all of them are getting their ninja powers, and he's like, I'm a frog. And just the way he says that line, just so funny.
I'm a frog.
And if you don't know Johnny, he is a prolific voiceover actor. He's in Devil May Cry, which is one of his newer projects, but that's like one of like a million things he does. But I love Johnny, he's a great dude. And then you have, you know, Steve Cardenas as Rocky when he does like the middle splits and he's dodging like the Triceratops or whatever dinosaur skeletons they're fighting, and he's like, I'm hanging. So there's just fun things like that. And there's like wall flips, and they just showcase so much of what we love about Power Rangers. And you have Amy Jo Johnson's line, was it like, have a nice trip, see you next fall.
Have a nice trip, see you next fall.
You know, I haven't even seen this movie recently, but I still remember so much of it because it just was in my formative years. I don't know. I mean, I've seen it more than once, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like I saw it in the last, I don't know if I've seen it in the last decade, to be honest, but I still can just like recall things. You know, and you have, I remember Billy, David Yost, his character was in suit when they morphed. He was like doing a bunch of back handsprings. Like, it doesn't help in a fight at all, but I just remember it was like sped up. He's like flipping out of the way, and it was just fun. Yeah, and then they had certain things that you didn't really see again, like the have a nice trip, see you next fall. She used like some kind of grappling thing, if I'm not mistaken, which I don't think she's ever used again, but it was cool. And then the Megazords, even though they were different, they were the same, and we got to see them used in a way that isn't just fighting. You know, you had Tommy's Falcon Zord, like help a train, you know, go across it, which I thought was really cool. So they made really good use of their environment. It wasn't just, hey, there's a monster, let's get a Megazord and fight. It's, oh, we gotta save people too, because the city's under siege, and normally Power Rangers just shows the Megazords walking around and whatever, they fall into a building, all good, we're assuming it was evacuated. But this, it was like, oh, things are damaged. That means someone can die if we don't fix this problem because there's no train tracks. So I just enjoyed how they really opened up the world. You know, it wasn't just, hey, Angel Grove, and that's where we fight in the end. You know, they went to different places. I don't remember the name of the island with the birds and the lady with the flute. I know it was shot in Australia, but I don't know where geographically it was in the movie. Do you remember where it was, Stephen?
So they go to a planet called Phaedos. That's
okay,
where
Australia
Dulcia, the woman,
is a planet. Copy that.
Australia's a whole planet.
Wow, you learned something new. I just thought it was a continent, but guess not. I loved how the Mighty Morphin movie, it still had Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed, but then it introduced this new villain, Ivan Ooze, who you're like, who the heck is this dude? But he just like makes our original villains look like chumps, destroys Zordon almost fully, like in one fell swoop, gets rid of the powers of the Power Rangers. Like, he wasn't there to mess around. But then he still loses, which is, you know, Power Ranger fashion. You know, they fight him in space, and you get the boogie with the bear line.
Time to boogie with the bear.
Again, like just iconic lines that were just uttered throughout history in the 30 years since. And I love the fact that I know a lot of these Power Rangers in person. I mean, I've met all of them, I believe, other than Amy Jo Johnson from that movie. But it's just cool. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I love them from the show, but I would have loved a Dino Charge movie. Now, the crossover Dino Charge did with Beast Morphers, if you haven't seen it, we did a 2-episode crossover and a 1-episode kind of clip show in the middle, kind of connecting the 2 episodes. But it was a movie in Japan. I don't think it went to theaters, but they do a lot of team-up movies where instead of just 1 episode where someone comes in to help the new Ranger team, it's like an hour to an hour and a half of Ranger fighting monsters and stuff. So in Kyoryuger with whatever Beast Morphers is called that I can't remember off the top of my head right now, in Japan, and Go Buster. Yeah, so they had that crossover and it was a movie. So we just made it a TV thing, but I think it'd be cool if we did more movies because costs for making movies can be far less now due to, you know, technology improvements. We can film things on our phones and edit off of your portable laptop. You don't need like a team of people at all times doing everything depending on how you shoot it and what the goal is. So I would love to see more original Power Ranger movies, or even miniseries where you still have like the main, 20-something episode per season formula, but then here's a one-off 5-episode deep dive into what happened to this season, and you could follow along, or even if they animated it, would be cool, which I've brought up a lot. I think animation would be a way to let a lot of Rangers reprise themselves without, everyone needing to morph or fight, depending on if people are training or you want them out of suit and stuff. But if we're animated, we can still lend our voices. So yeah, I love this movie. If I had more time, I would want to watch it again. But I have a kid right now, which makes it a little difficult, and I'm behind on a lot of shows and other movies.
Hi, it's Steven, producer, editor, filmer guy.
Filmer guy.
I've got some questions for Brennan to kind of help jog his memory of back then.
I feel like I'm at a convention, at a panel.
When Ivan Ooze took your powers, Brennan?
Yeah.
Why didn't you use your battle light? No. So we're going back in our minds to 1995. What do you remember about the hype as a kid leading up to this movie? I'm talking like commercials, merchandising, maybe like the McDonald's, if you ever got those McDonald's toys, or just it showed up in so many places.
I have a strong memory of the goo. Like, I think I bought the goo that makes the parents like mind controlled. I feel like I owned that. And I can't even, that wasn't McDonald's, was it? I don't think they sold the goo there.
I don't think that was at McDonald's. That must have been somewhere else.
Yeah, but I feel like I owned it. Honestly, out of all the things, because I had a lot of Power Ranger toys as a kid, but for whatever reason, that is sticking into my brain the most, and I don't know why. And then also the Falcon Zord, which I had. I also had the Tiger Zord. Off topic, why did Tommy's White Ranger have 2 Zords?
Because they were from 2 different seasons. One was from season 2, Die Ranger footage.
Did one get destroyed, or he's just like, no?
Tiger Zord got destroyed. Falcon Zord comes back.
Like the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, which I give them credit for even remembering that thing is still around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wait, hold on. We were in the same room for this. I was going to say, we were in that watch party.
Yeah,
and we'll both remember, the whole room went wild when he said Falcon Zord. We were like, ah!
That's true story. Anyway, we're not talking about that. Back to this. Honestly, the Ivan Ooze goo is the hype toy I remember for some dumb reason. But I just remember really loving the movie. I don't recall as a 5-year-old when it came out, I'm dating myself, what particularly I was super excited to see it, other than I was always excited to watch Power Rangers at that age.
A lot of people, myself included, would confuse the story from the movie with the story from the show. Because in both the movie and the show, they have to lose their dinosaur powers to get ninja powers. Can you remember how they go about doing that in the show?
It was with Ninjor, right?
Okay, dang, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ninjor, which was confusing though, because they were both ninja powers, but they weren't from the same source, really, kind of, right?
Right.
Because how did they get it in the movie? I know they went and fought like dinosaurs and stuff, or the skeletons of dinosaurs. And I know they met that lady with the whistle that the bird monsters didn't like, but she was helping them restore their powers, right? She didn't give them the ninja powers, or did she give them the ninja powers to help them restore their powers?
It's the last one you said, yeah.
Yeah, because Adam was like, I'm a frog, and he was like offended, and she was like, oh, but the prince and whatever, gave him a kiss or something. Yeah, so I don't know her connection to Ninjor. I don't know if the Boom Studios comics ever tried to address that, or are we just assuming they're different timelines, or dimensions, I guess. So like the movie Rangers are separate because they don't really reference each other, but then the Turbo movie really does kind of straight up lead into the show, doesn't it, if I recall, with Diva Talks? Yeah, so I guess they're just acting as if it was a standalone adventure that's not canon, because they never addressed it. But it's not like the events changed the world dramatically in some way that they couldn't have had it be canon too. Maybe there are just 2 sets of ninja powers. Why not? We have Ninja Steel and Ninja Storm, so there are other ninja powers, I guess, technically.
You talked about how iconic it is to remember. There's so many lines. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. Welcome to my nightmare. The list goes on.
Time to boogie with the bear.
Boogie with the bear. You want to play kick the can? We could quote these all day. What do you remember about the soundtrack? Do you remember the soundtrack for this movie?
Was it the we're in trouble? That was that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was either Power Rangers or Rugrats. But I think that was Vacation's All I Ever Want, because, yeah. Anyway, yes, that's the song I remember the most that was new to that particular movie. And then there's a lot of flutes. I I mean, if you think about it, we had Ivan Ooze, and then he'd like shoot beams and blow up Zordon and stuff. And then we had the lady in Australia, in space, on the planet, whatever you want to call it. And she had the whistles. I mean, it wasn't like a flute, but it was kind of like a flute, but like she would swing them.
Wind instruments.
Yeah. Percussion is not, no, but wind instruments for the wind. So Wind Waker could have fit in there, you know, if you wanted Link to make an appearance. He could have helped fight because apparently monsters are weak to wind, and so is Zordon. Let me know, what's your favorite movie out of the 3 Power Ranger movies? So we have the 1995 one, the Power Ranger Turbo, and then the revival reboot 2017 Power Rangers movie. If one was to get a sequel, I know Turbo was kind of a sequel to Mighty Morphin, but let's just say the 3 are different timelines. Which one would you like to see a sequel for? Let me know in the comments below, or if you have an original idea as well. And if you want to see what I thought of the 2017 movie and why it didn't work as well as I thought it could have, watch this video. Also, I wanted to mention that the winner of the helmet giveaway for hitting 200,000 subs was and is Owen Schmidt. He already knows this at this point because I contacted him on Instagram, but I forgot to tell you guys on YouTube. My apologies. So congratulations, Owen. Hope you enjoy your new Power Rangers Dino Charge helmet and stay tuned for future giveaways.